Baby, be in love with your fantasies. I can be a star, make a sky so bright. Welcome to my dungeon, this is ecstasy. Let me play the fantasy.
What's good, YouTube? It's your girl, Asia.
And it's your boy, BJ, and we're back like we never left. We appreciate y'all for hitting that thumbnail, but most importantly, we appreciate y'all for holding us down and supporting this channel. Yeah. We're about to be jumping into a different reaction today by Larry Elder. The title of the video is You Knew Something Wasn't Right.
Yeah.
So what? You knew something wasn't right and you didn't do the right thing, or what? We're about to check it out right now.
Yeah, we're about to see. This was actually sent to me by one of our loyal subscribers. Thank you so much. I won't say any names, but this was actually sent to me by one of the subscribers, and I wanted to check it out. I don't know everything that was in here. I probably watched like the first 2 minutes of it, and then I was like, okay, yeah, maybe we can kind of get into this a little bit. So,
okay.
Yeah, this is Larry Elder. I'm excited to listen to all of this. So I don't know. I know the first 2 minutes though. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So yeah,
It should be interesting though. It'll be interesting. So make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, join the family, and let's jump into this video.
Let's turn to CNN and its low ratings. I told you they have a new CEO, been on the job for a little more than 2 months. And in the 2 months the guy's been on the job, their numbers have gotten even worse. Maybe it's because, as was revealed by a Project Veritas undercut videotape, that CNN has a bit of an agenda.
Story comes up, they're going to latch onto it. They've already announced inner office that once the public will be open to it, we're going to start focusing mainly on climate, climate like global warming, and like that's going to be our next like I don't know, like what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be our focus. Our focus was to get Trump out of office, right? Without saying it, that's what it was, right? So,
what an admission! Without saying it.
Whoa! So he's had her, and he's literally sitting here saying that's what their agenda is. And
that's what it was.
Right.
Was to get Trump out of office.
That's what their agenda is or was. And I mean, if you're a person that sits and watches CNN or you watch other outlets, you know, you can kind of see sometimes like the agenda kind of building in regards to like, in regards to what, their broadcast is projected to, in regards to like the message they're trying to send out.
Yeah, but that's just the Trump, like the message that they were like, the agenda that they created for Trump. Just think about everything else and all the other agendas that go along with it. Not necessarily pertaining to, Trump per se, your BLM movements, your,
global warming,
it's just like, oh, is it like that? You know what I mean? Like literally you just sitting there talking about how we're about to start opening up the public to accepting the fact that, let's start pushing this climate change thing.
Mm-hmm.
And really, we should be talking about these damn gas prices. Okay?
Absolutely, but all they gonna do is talk about it. I need y'all to do something about it.
But yeah, okay.
Focus was to get Trump out of office. Now that Trump is out of office, we need more drama. We need another alarming issue, and we're going to now focus on climate change.
our next thing is going to be for climate change awareness.
What does that look like?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I have a feeling it's just going to be like constantly showing videos of like decline in ice and weather.
I don't know how they're going to show it. They're going to show constant videos. They're going to put it on a loop. Show, like ice melting, like people catching on fire when they walk down the street. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but we're going to do it.
Warming up and like the effects it's having on the economy and really talking
Who decides that?
Head of the network, like just...
Who's that? Is that Zucker?
Zucker, yeah. I imagine that he's got his council and they've all like discussed like where they think...
So that's like the next...
pandemic like story like that will beat to death. But that one's got longevity.
That will beat to death. He's admitting it.
You know what I mean? It's not like there's a definitive ending to the pandemic, or like it'll taper off to a point that it's not a problem anymore. I think it's going to take years, so they'll probably be able to milk that for quite a bit. So.
He said, "Milk that." Particularly, and he's a CNN technical director. Milk that for quite a bit.
I hope he is just somebody that doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. I hope that's like maybe he just caught wind of it, like he may have picked up a memo in the trash somewhere about something.
Yeah. And
he thinks that this is what is going to happen. But the fact that he's sitting here talking openly about something like that is almost, it's mind-boggling, like, oh yeah, we're going to push this global warming and try to get people to believe that, and
see how many people can get to jump on the bandwagon. To
believe that the world's going to melt tomorrow.
Maybe he had too many, because right now he had happy hour. Right now maybe he had one too many, and he just letting it flow right now. He letting it flow.
Beat it to death, milk it.
So, climate change overload.
Be prepared. It's coming. Stories like right now, we had an inside track right now where 2 stories are going to be pushed. Climate change is going to be the next COVID thing for CNN. We're gonna hone it.
Focus on that.
I love it.
But that's a fair thing. You saw that coming forever. It's always evergreen.
But to commit to that as a network.
You said it's going to be like the new COVID.
By the way, there's another Project Veritas video where another CNN, I think he's a segment coordinator or something like that, talks about their daily hour-long meetings that they have with Jeff Zucker, the then CEO of CNN. And he said Zucker hates Trump, has a personal vendetta against Trump. You know what's never good?
What is it?
When your nation's supposed authority on economic policy completely misses the flashing red lights of impending inflation. Now Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has finally admitted, quote, there have been unanticipated and large shocks to the economy that have boosted energy and food prices and supply bottlenecks that affected our economy badly that I didn't at the time fully understand.
Okay, we're doomed. Oh.
Well, you know who understood the real threat of inflation? People who invested in gold and silver with Birch Gold Group. They're protecting their safe for IR now, so and protecting countless five get real help, no obligation, because this is Katie Tur. This is really fascinating. It's fascinating because this is Katie Tur. Katie Tur is one of the hosts on MSNBC, one of the most hateful cable channels there is. Al Sharpton is a host. Joy Reid is a host. We'll get back to that in just a second. But apparently Katie Tur has had some, misgivings about what she does for a living. Watch this.
It's something that I don't have a concrete answer to. And that's not because I don't love journalism. I do. It's just a convergence of two issues. One of them being that we cover very dark stuff in succession. And it seems like it's getting darker and darker, and it can be hard on your mental health. Even just today, we're reporting on the assassination of a world leader. This is after Ukraine and the pandemic and the political division.
Let me interject something here. Bad news sells. Blood sells. House fires sell. The media's always covered, as she put it, dark stuff. That's not my problem with her or with the media in general. My problem is the fake news. My problem is this business about Donald Trump being in bed with Russians, the Russian collusion thing. My problem is the failure of outlets like MSNBC to cover what's going on in the borders. The failure of them to cover that lawyer for Hillary Clinton that went to the feds and said Donald Trump was in bed with this bank and I'm only here as a citizen. Turns out he lied. They couldn't have cared less until they found not guilty. Then they covered it. My problem is the fact that during the Trump administration, according to one study, 91% of the news of Trump by ABC, NBC, CBS, and they still have quite a bit of viewers every night. About 25 or 30 million people watch the half-hour shows of ABC, NBC, and CBS, so they're not irrelevant. 91% of the news, negative. Washington Post has never, ever endorsed a Republican for president in their entire history. The New York Times has not endorsed a Republican for president since 1956. And as we pointed out, the White House press corps, Democrats outnumber Republicans 12-1. How in the world are we supposed to trust a media that is that biased? That's my problem. And she alludes to that later on when she talks about whether or not she's doing more harm than good.
And these, nonsense.
At the end of the day, you're not doing any good if you're spreading fake news. And that's, again, that's kind of why I turned away from like a lot of major news outlets years ago, is because the same thing in regards to like fake news. And then if you want to go and harken it back to the thing that we were just watching about CNN in regards to like the agendas and things that they want to sit here and kind of like sensationalize, just kind of going back to like you were saying, the BLM, going back to like they were bringing up like the global warming, bringing up things where they're trying to impeach Trump. Like, when they get on certain topics, you can tell like when they're trying to like beat you in the head with it, because it's like they do not let it go. It's like they stay on it day after day, and as long as the ratings stay up on this particular topic or story, they'll try to keep it going as long as they can keep it going.
I literally was about to say, I'm like, you have to think that these news outlets know for a fact how much influence they have over people's mindsets, especially, granted, we just finished watching about like these young Gen Z children that don't know much of anything, and you got stuff like this being put out there. Mm-hmm. So it's just like
the misinformation.
The two kind of go hand in hand together, and it's almost like what he just said, especially being that you got like a lot of them that Democrats outnumber Republicans 12-1. I didn't know. Did you know that?
Not 12-1.
I didn't know it was 12-1. That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a big number.
Huge. Yeah.
And so there's a good possibility that a lot of those influences are being rubbed off on a good chunk of these younger generations, the younger generations that are coming up, people who are able to vote and stuff like that, just misinformed with misinformation because of what's actually being pushed and projected upon people.
And for them, it's almost like we're going to put it out there in hopes that you don't fact check this.
That's kind of...
Hey, you got to do your fact checking for sure. You definitely got to do some fact checking, especially with us in here telling you this.
Stop mass murders that we're seeing in schools or supermarkets, 4th of July parades in this country, big intractable problems that don't seem to be getting any better. So it can be a bit demoralizing. And then on top of that, there was just a Gallup poll out today that shows that the trust in media, newspapers and television is hitting an all-time low.
Now think about that. Do you think it's hitting an all-time low because you guys are covering mass shootings?
Nah, probably I've not been seeing this, but that's kind of where I was going with that. Like it's just a matter of time before people really start. I mean, I think people at this point, especially like older adults, even I'd say mid-30s, even up, are probably kind of up and abreast on that kind of stuff like that, the news and fake news and just what's being pushed in terms of like the agendas, if you will. But I had no idea she was about to say that. But I'm just like, some point, people are going to start catching on, and they're going to start doing their own research, and they're going to start digging for themselves. And what they'll find is probably going to scare the living daylights out of them, just because it is not what they think.
And again, like I said, I'll say it again. That's why several years ago I had to dial back from all of these major outlets, because, like I said, if you sit around and listen to it all day, you're gonna digest exactly what they're saying, and like you said, eventually you'll start thinking it and thinking that it's true.
Man, that's so sad.
And then not even that, you'll stop. You'll just rely on what they're saying rather than kind of being doing your own research, looking into it yourself. It's like so many people get reliant upon just what they're saying, and you just take it for face value.
Yeah.
Is that why? It's hitting an all-time low because they don't trust you. They don't believe you. Even Democrats believe the media is biased against the right, against Republicans. That's the issue. She's implying it's because everything is so dark. That's why people watch the news. Years ago, there was a TV station, I believe it was Orlando, Florida, and they decided they were only going to have positive, upbeat news. And so they got rid of all the kind of program they used to have, and they ended up remaining in last place, even losing ground against the other local stations covering news in that city. So don't give me this stuff about, well, the reason people are turning against us is because we've been covering dark stuff. You're not supposed to cover the assassination of the former prime minister of Japan. You're not supposed to cover mass shootings. And by the way, she called them nonstop mass shootings. What's nonstop are the shootings that take place in the streets of L.A., New York, Chicago, that they don't talk about. The weekend of the 4th of July in Chicago, more people were killed and wounded than the mass shooting that they covered just a few days earlier. That's the problem.
People don't trust us, they don't believe us, and it makes me wonder if this job, as I'm currently doing it, is effective, but if it's doing more harm than good. I don't have a good answer for that. So those thoughts linger in the back of my mind. They linger, though, because I do love it, and I do think it's important, and I'm hoping to find a way to better communicate with people.
Sure.
Well, I have an answer for that.
Uh-oh.
This business about the police being systemically racist. This business about what happened to George Floyd happening because George Floyd is black when there's no evidence that Derek Chauvin did what he did because George Floyd is black. Remember yesterday we talked about that woman in her apartment in Minneapolis cooking for her children, and some guy starts shooting through her door, almost killing her and threatening her children. She goes out in the streets and she tells the people in Black Lives Matter, this is not a George Floyd situation. This is not a George Floyd situation. Who do you think is responsible for this poll I mentioned the other day about what self-described very liberal people and self-described liberal people believe how many unarmed black men were killed by the cops in 2019? The answer? Half of self-described very liberal people thought the police killed 1,000 unarmed black men in 2019. 8% thought the police killed 10,000. Among just the regular old liberal people, 39% thought the police killed 1,000 unarmed black men in 2019. And 5% thought they killed 10,000. Now, the actual number, according to the Washington Post database, 12. What accounts for this huge disconnect between the fact and what people believe? Media.
That's a big
disparity.
Yeah. That's huge.
That's like a big bump in numbers where someone just said, take out 12 and add 12, let's put 2 zeros on the end of that. Like 12, like 12 isn't enough. Let's just put the mustard on it. Let's just put the sauce on it, you know? And and sometimes that's what you get with the news is like, you know, you get like certain numbers, you know, when they say certain things, but it's like they gotta like turn it up a notch.
Well, when you don't, you know, in regards to what she said and when you have a job that does not like 1,000%, you know, force you to maintain integrity, you have a big problem. You should have a problem. You should have a problem like living with yourself, like especially if you're the person that has a lot of influences on the environment, on these people, on what's being put out into the public. It's like, you know what you're doing. Yeah. So if you aren't able to live with yourself, like it's because of what you're doing. It's not necessarily what it is that you're reporting. It's how you're reporting it and how much of that, you know, is valuable to the integrity aspect of it, because really it's like you're losing, you know, you're just so many parts of who you are just as a person, as a person.
And a lot of times, again, like you said, you got to do the research for yourself. Like when they're talking about like certain topics like this, because he's talking about, you know, police involved shootings in regards to, you know, black men. You know, that's crazy for them to say it's only been 12, but they bumped it up to 1,000.
Yeah.
I've done my own research here, even in Dallas, and just in 2022, there's been like 4 police involved shootings. So I don't know.
MSNB hee haw. Whenever a black person is killed unarmed by a white person, in comes MSNB hee haw. In comes Joy Reid. In comes all these anchors talking about this being systemic, when in fact, out of all the homicides of blacks in this country, only a tiny percentage are killed by cops. And of that percentage, an even smaller percentage are killed by cops in an unlawful way. Every time one of these shootings takes place, it should be handled on a case-by-case basis rather than acting as if it's some sort of epidemic when in fact it's not. And as a result of this epidemic, cops have been pulling back. We call it the Ferguson effect or the George Floyd effect, and crime has gone up, and the very people who have been hurt are the black and brown people living in the inner city that people like MSNB hee haw claim they care about. MSNB hee haw also has one of their hosts, Al Sharpton.
He keep calling. He's sticking with this
MSNB hee haw.
Is there anybody in America more divisive than Al Sharpton? In the streets of Ferguson, before one word of testimony was taken, yelling, "No justice, no peace." And it turns out that Michael Brown did not have his hands up, did not say don't shoot. And the officer who shot and killed Michael Brown completely exonerated. Did Al Sharpton say, "I'm sorry"? This is the guy, Al Sharpton, who became famous by lying on a white former DA and accused him of raping Tawana Brawley. Turns out the whole rape was a hoax. And one of Al Sharpton's compadres during that time later on went public and said Al Sharpton knew she was lying, did not care. Because once this thing goes down, we're going to be the baddest N-words in the country, close quote.
Did you know that?
No, not that in particular, no. But when he's speaking about Al Sharpton, you know, just to be honest, like I feel like he's lost touch in regards to like the black community. He's definitely lost touch in regards to like things that plague just the United States of America as a whole, especially when you start talking about like economics, poverty, you know, all those types of things, especially like, you know, the black household, the black family. Like Al Sharpton, he lost a lot of credibility with me over the years. Like I don't like if he says something today and he comes out and speaks, like I like the fat Al Sharpton better. Like the new skinny one, like I don't know. I like the fat one better back then. Like I don't know. I'm not. No.
Okay.
No.
Because once this thing goes down, we're going to be the baddest N-words in the country, close quote. That's what this compadre of Al Sharpton said. Do you know that Al Sharpton is on tape talking to an undercover Fed about dealing crack cocaine? I kid you not. You go online and take a look at it. Al Sharpton was in the thick of the 1991 Crown Heights riots that one local New York Jewish leader called the most serious pogrom in the history of America. A black kid was struck and killed by a Jewish driver. And there was a rumor that the ambulance came to pick up the Jewish kid but left the black kid there. Wasn't true. And Al Sharpton's on tape saying if the Jews want to pin their yarmulkes on their heads and come over to my house and get it on, they can do that. And that's just part of the highlights of this man.
What?
And he has a show on MSNB Hee Haw every single weekend. Joy Reid is another one of their hosts. Some years ago, Joy Reid had a blog and made some very hateful, homophobic comments. Said she hated the sight of seeing two men kissing. Said she wasn't going to see Brokeback Mountain because she found it disgusting. She implied that Ann Coulter was gay. Implied that a politician from Florida named Charlie Crist was gay. No evidence of it at all. She gets a show on MSNB Hee Haw. All of a sudden, these blog posts surface, and she says, I didn't write those. I was hacked. So NBC hires a computer forensic consultant, examiner, to find out whether or not she'd been hacked. No evidence she was hacked whatsoever. She apologized. And then later on, when more posts came, she again said she'd been hacked and again apologized. She has a show on MSNB Hee Haw. And you wonder why people don't trust the media. Hope you enjoyed that video.
Wow.
I feel like with this one, like Larry Elder, I feel like he hit a lot of these topics like right on the head, especially like in regards to just the media per se, in regards to like their agenda and just the rhetoric that they like to like spread, because obviously you have thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people tuning in every day. So it's almost like, how many of these people can we get to sway? How many of these people can we get to listen to this particular agenda, and not just listen to it today? How long can we keep y'all listening to the same thing every day? And again, like I said, I just got tired of it after a while, and I made my own personal decision, because because I used to have all these news outlets on my phone, like one after the next, one after the next, and you find yourself going to it every day to see what's going on with the news, and after a while you feel yourself getting caught up with it, and then after a while it's like you have to like take a step back and kind of reassess yourself, like in regards to like what you're allowing into your mind, what you're allowing yourself to believe and not believe.
Yeah, I feel like that's sometimes that I wouldn't say it's hard to do necessarily, especially but when you're hearing it from so many different places, and it's almost like they're all saying the same thing, it becomes
or
believable.
sometimes they all saying that they're saying something different. That's
Yeah,
what
but
catches me sometimes.
just golly, like the political stuff that we get into, like it is grimy, it is dirty. I wouldn't even say like one side particularly,
Man,
because at the end of the day, like,
yeah, it's not one particular. It's not one
not
particular side.
one of them haven't done anything right or wrong or right per se. Like they both sides, okay, have done bad things. Like, to say for what it is, but it's just like, man, when you start listening to them talk about this stuff, like listening to what he's saying and like what Al Sharpton, like these people have TV shows. People are listening to this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So the people that have these shows, they have a responsibility, and
Right.
you have a responsibility to to give the right information. That's my thing. That's your responsibility. Like, you put it, it's almost like you're put on a soapbox so you can spread the word. And it's like, how are you going to elect to go about it? Are you going to go about it for your own personal gain, for your own personal agenda, or are you here for the right reason so you can spread and disseminate the right message to everyone to make sure that everybody has the facts?
It's
And
just crazy though. But what's crazy to me is how some of the things like get overlooked. Okay?
Overlooked, yeah.
Like I won't be specific. I know there was some stuff that I've recently just shown you, even some stuff where I was like, how are they not talking about this? Why is this not being discussed? Because I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I feel like if this was Trump and this was Trump's kids, it would be all kinds of problems. All kinds of problems. We would never hear the end of it. I mean, pictures, videos, just one after the next, after the next, after the next. And it's like, what is happening? What is happening here? Like, how are we missing the things that really should be talked about, really should be brought to the
or
forefront?
things that truly matter.
The accountability of like the media at this point, to me, is just they are just done for.
Yeah,
They are done.
it's almost like it's a super cutthroat business, because it's like, who
And
can
that's exactly what it is.
what can we get you to listen to today? And and another thing that gets me is like when they have like these panels and they have these people come up and talk, and you hear, and then you go to a different station and they talk about the exact same topic, but they're saying something completely different. And it's just like, who do you believe?
Right.
Who do I need to listen to? And it's like, man, you got to listen to yourself. Like, listen to that conscience in the back of your head saying that something isn't right, with the information that you're putting into your head. Because again, you can't continue to keep letting these outlets give you so much information, but the information is skewed. The numbers are wrong.
And she said it best. Like, all the things they put out is so horrible, it's so bad. It's just like, it's just creating the fear, the anxiety, factoring up those thoughts of, this is happening. Everybody has to get an electric car. Like, we're all gonna burn if we don't do it.
It's like, what is the agenda today? What is the agenda next week? To get people in an uproar. And at the end of the day, that's why we do what we do. That's why we check out a lot of these videos, because I mean, at the end, you gotta create and get the information for yourself some kind of way.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but the information's out there. You just got to go and dig for it and stop relying on other people to give you the information. Especially now more than ever. With everything that's going on today with the economy. Like, period, man. You just got to rise above it. And at the end of the day, don't be sheep. You know.
Right. So, y'all let us know what y'all think. Okay. If y'all chimed in all the way to the end, if y'all enjoyed this video, be sure you give us a big thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, smash that notification bell, join the family, and if ain't nobody else told you, I love you. And we're gonna see y'all in the next video, y'all.